Osaka and Tokyo. Is it Hogen?
North and south, right?
Yes, Hogen.
The languages differ from one another.
Dialect.
Yeah, the dialect.
Dialect. So.
Like to have an introduction first. Me first, you first.
It's hello 皆さんこんにちはスウェーデンで留学をしているハルです So today I want to talk about English. Yesterday I watched the interesting video. I talked in English before I came to Sweden. I want to share the video and I found 5 typical English problems for me. I want to share about that. Before I move on the video, I want to share about the English ability before I came to Sweden. Before I came to Sweden, I took some tests, ACAN, TOEIC, and IELTS, typical English test in Japan. So now I have ACAN +1 grade, TOEIC 750 points, and IELTS overall 6.0. I have this kind of qualification now. But before I came to Sweden, I'm really bad at speaking English and especially I'm not really good at listening. So before I studied abroad, I was really afraid that I cannot communicate with other person in Sweden. So I want to manage to speak English somehow. So before I came to Sweden, I tried English conversation online lesson, DMM Eikaiwa. It's just for 1 month. But it's really cheaper than now. I use a really big discount for the DMM Eikaiwa, so it was not so expensive. If you want to improve your English skill, I highly recommend it to register the English conversation online lesson. So today I want to share a video on English conversation online lesson, DMM Eikaiwa. I want to introduce 5 typical English programs for me. So let's get started. Number 1, the vocabulary and pronunciation. I sometimes cannot come up with the vocabulary. I'm from Osaka. So the just different between Osaka and Tokyo. Is it Hogen?
North and south, right?
Yes, Hogen.
The languages differ from one another.
Dialect.
Yeah, the dialect.
Dialect. How should I pronounce it? How should I say it? Sometimes I cannot come up with the sentences, pronunciation, vocabulary. I'm interested in the second language education, second language second language
Education. English as secondary language.
It's really serious program for me. So sometimes a person cannot understand my pronunciation, so they cannot catch the meanings of my sentences. And actually, I'm gonna study abroad to Sweden in this August. I want to improve and conversation skill in English now. So that's a very big problem on the conversation. Number 2, typical phrases. Before I came to Sweden, it's really difficult to use the typical phrases on the conversation. For example, self-introduction. It is really easy to do the self-introduction when you meet someone for the first time. If you get used to using typical phrases, for example, hello everyone, my name is I'm from Japan. My major is teacher education. I'm studying English and gender society now. I use really typical phrases for beginners. Before I came to Sweden, I hadn't got used to using typical phrases. My name is Haru and I'm 21 years old.
Oh, very young.
I'm a university student in Japan.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, and my major is teacher education.
Elementary or high school?
I want to be an English teacher at high school.
Okay, so secondary education.
Number 3, grammar. Before I came to Sweden, when I talk in English, I usually focused on the grammar. I usually thought that I should use correct grammar.
This one, that you idolized encourage you to speak English?
She encouraged encouraged for me to learn English.
Very good inspiration.
To communicate with other person. But now I usually make an English mistakes. I don't focus on the correctness. Now I don't care the mistakes. I think that the grammar mistakes and the English mistake, pronunciation mistakes is a really common thing when a non-native speaker speak English. So I don't care about it now. Number 4, confidence. Before I came to Sweden, I didn't have any confidence to speak English. Not confidence. I usually think that confidence is not necessary to speak English. Usually, I try to tell what I want to say.
I'm going to study abroad to Sweden.
Then,
So now I a little try to study Swedish. Thank you very much is tack så mycket.
tack så mycket.
It is difficult for me to study other language as well as English.
I just focus on the contents. I haven't the full confidence yet. I think I don't have to have confidence to speak English. The most important thing is to try to speak English without focusing the correctness. Number 5, listening skill. On the DNM English conversation lesson, I cannot listen to this English completely. That's a really big problem for me. So sometimes I couldn't understand the question from the person. I sometimes answered in a completely different way, different context. Sometimes tutor was confused. So that was my really big problems.
I wanna go there.
Have you ever been to some Europe country?
No, I've never been abroad.
Mm.
Last year, I booked a flight with my family to Japan.
Oh, to
But
Japan.
Japan's border is not open during the spring. I was like, oh, they canceled my flight. They canceled our flight. Maybe next year we will try again.
Oh,
That was
really?
supposed to be our first flight,
Oh, good.
but it was canceled.
I know it cancel.
What again?
Is it cancelled?
Yes, it was canceled because Japan's border is closed for foreigners.
Is it second time? Second.
It was my first attempt.
First.
Next year I will book again during spring.
Again.
I hope so.
Try again.
It will be successful. Japan is very beautiful.
But now I gradually get used to listening English from other person. How was that video? So today I talked about my English. Maybe on this video you found many English mistakes of my English. I also don't care about it because I don't focus on my English mistakes. After I go back to Japan, I hope my English will get better than now. I'm planning to take a TOEIC test after I go back to Japan. So I'm looking forward to taking tests, and then I hope I take a better score than before I came to Sweden. Actually, during my stay, the number of opportunity to talk in English get increasing because I need to do the daily conversation in English with my friend. I need to take a class in English. The professor usually speak in English. So I need to speak in English, I need to listen in English, I need to writing essay, writing document, writing report, writing assignment in English. So every day I export to English. That's a really good practice for me to speak English and listen English. I try to make opportunity to talk in English with my friend and try to have more conversation to practice English. We need to make an effort to upload the environment exported to English. If you register the English conversation online lesson, you can get the feedback from the tutor, from the teacher. But here, everyone can speak English, everyone can talk English, so I can talk English, I can speak English, but nobody give me the feedback, English feedback. If I ask the question, the student can give me an explanation about the definition of the words. But if I don't ask a question about the English phrases, English typical phrases, English grammar, nobody give me the feedback, nobody give me the advices. In Sweden, it is very common, it is normal to speak English. It's a different situation from Japan. If you want your English skill, you should focus on your own English you use every day. That's very important thing, I think. So in my case, I usually check my English through the YouTube video. I usually shoot by myself, and I sometimes uploaded stories on Instagram, and sometimes upload a video on YouTube, and I edit the videos. I can notice my English mistakes. That's a very good way for me to get the feedback by myself. That's all. How was today's video? I want to upload a video about my English after I go back to Japan. I want to compare with now English and the next level of my English. That's all. Thank you for watching, and see you next video. Bye.